Let's break down the sound of a guitarist who is, without a doubt, one of a kind, Ichika Nito. I mean, you hear his playing and it's just instantly recognizable, right? That clean, super intricate, and spacious sound is something guitar players all over the world are trying to figure out. Okay, let's start right here with this quote, because this is pretty much the key to his entire approach. Whether he's playing by himself or with his band Dio, his entire sound is built around dynamic control and creating space. But you see, he starts from two totally different places, which is fascinating. So, how does he actually do it? Well, that's what we're going to deconstruct piece by piece. We're going to look at the guitars he chooses, his completely separate studio and live setups, and then the mixing techniques that pull it all together. You're going to get the thinking behind the tone. First things first, let's talk about the foundation of it all, his guitars. For the Dios album and Chapeau, he didn't just use one guitar, he used a whole arsenal of them, and each one had a very specific job to do. This is his main axe, the Ichika 10. It's his first signature model with Ibanez, and it was the main guitar all over that album. He's known for using those front/center and rear/center pickup combinations, which is exactly the sound you hear on those hard-hitting parts in a track like Struggle. This is his go-to for that core Ichika hound. Then we've got his second signature model, the ICI-00, and you might recognize that shape. It's based on the Tome he was famous for using early on. He specifically grabs this one for those funky, cutting rhythm parts, like on the song Jiu. It just gives him a totally different flavor than the ICI-110. But when he needs a more traditional, kind of beefy tone that really sits right in the pocket of a full band mix, he turns to this, the AZS-2200. He calls it a thick, classic T-style sound, and it's perfect for tracks like Madarays and Hanataba, where the guitar needs to just support the song in a more classic way. And for a complete curveball, we've got the FRH-10N. This is a thin-body nylon string guitar. Yeah, a nylon string. He uses this to create that absolutely unforgettable, percussive main riff on the album's title track, and Shibu. It just shows you how much thought goes into picking the perfect tool for the job. All right, now this is where his philosophy gets really interesting. His approach in the studio is worlds apart from how he plays live on stage. It's this incredible split between, digital precision and raw analog soul. So in the studio, it's all about digital control. He's working inside the box with Cubase and a bunch of plugins from Neural DSP. But on stage, it's all about the raw, organic feel of a real tube amp, that divided by 13, which is then controlled by a Line 6 Helix. Two completely different toolkits for two completely different jobs. So, two totally different rigs. How does he dial everything in and make it all work? Well, the real magic is in the details, the specific amp settings he uses, and his core philosophy for mixing his guitar. Check this out. These are his secret formula settings for his live amp. He runs it on the lower 9-watt mode for that warmer tube saturation. But the really crucial part is the volume. It's set right on the edge of breaking up. This means he can get a perfectly clean sound with a light touch, but then get this beautiful, natural crunch just by digging in harder with his pick. The tone control is literally in his hands. And all of that ties into this core 3-step philosophy. First, he carves out space in the mix with some very specific EQ cuts and boosts. Second, he creates this incredible stereo width using mid/side processing, which lets him treat the center of his guitar signal differently from the sides. And finally, tying it all together, he relies on his own touch, his picking dynamics, to control the gain. So, back in the studio, what are those digital tools he's leaning on? The Neural DSP archetype plugins are his heavy hitters for amp sounds, Corey Wong for his cleans, and Gojira for the heavier stuff. And to get that signature sense of space and airiness, he uses those gorgeous reverb algorithms from Valhalla DSP. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. This all sounds amazing, but you don't need a pro-level budget to start playing with these ideas. So let's break down some much more affordable alternatives that really capture the spirit of Ichika's rig and his whole approach to tone. This table is basically your roadmap. If you can't swing a full Helix, the Line 6 POD Go has the exact same sound engine inside. A modeler like the Nux MG30 can get you incredibly realistic amp tones because it lets you load custom speaker profiles, called IRs. Then you just add a versatile delay pedal like the Flashback 2 and a good compressor. And you've got everything you need to start sculpting that clean, dynamic, and super spacious sound yourself. In the end, pulling back the curtain on Ichika Nito's rig shows us something really important. While the gear is fascinating to geek out on,
His true secret weapon is his philosophy of dynamics, of space, and of touch. The gear is just the tool he uses to get the sound from his mind out into our ears, which really leave us with a final important question to think about.